Let's move on just quickly to Ukraine and more about this sort of media coverage, because obviously the counteroffensive isn't going so well. But let's bring the Messenger News up first of all and look at how they're describing things. So this is from the United States, and they're saying Ukraine is losing US weapons on the battlefield. Heavy equipment losses are forcing a change in tactics and raising tough questions about the future of the war. And the question is, what is the future of the war? And so what they say here is, according to the widely cited open source blog Oryx, which documents only equipment losses that can be verified by photographic evidence, at least 23 of Ukraine's Bradleys have already been destroyed. Another 21 have been damaged, and 5 of those have been abandoned. More than 60 M113 armored fighting vehicles, 57 Max Pro mine-resistant vehicles, and more than 100 Humvees have also been destroyed, damaged, or lost. The value of all this destroyed equipment likely runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars. They say the high rate of destruction has come as a result of heavily fortified Russian defensive positions, including vast fields of mines. And in contrast, in the early days of the war, Russia's tactics have also become more innovative and effective. The Russians have been making particularly effective use of Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters to strike Ukraine's vehicles and tanks. So that's the view from the Messenger on the western side of the Atlantic. Here is the Times, however, and their headline is, Ukraine is winning the war with Russia, but it won't be over by Christmas. So Western weapons mean the Russians are outgunned and Putin is dithering, but Zelensky's counteroffensive remains grindingly slow. So what are they saying? They're saying the Ukrainians acknowledge that the counteroffensive has not gone to plan, and they've not made the progress they hoped for or expected. It does not mean the counteroffensive has failed, as territory has been liberated and Russian forces seriously degraded. A month or two remains in which Ukraine could yet achieve a breakthrough. Brackets November is when the winter rains in the southern Zaporozhye region really start to make conditions difficult. And it goes on to say, that said, the Ukrainians still hold the initiative. They are, by any meaningful measure, winning, according to the Times. They have, for example, kept the Russians spread across a wide front and used their new long-range firepower and their capability to move more quickly from finding to hitting targets to degrade their enemies' all-important supply dumps and artillery. According to their own figures, in the last couple of months, they've been destroying perhaps 25 Russian artillery pieces a day. They've also repeatedly struck at crucial Russian supply lines, especially the Chonar Bridge, connecting mainland Ukraine to Crimea. And then it goes on to say there's a growing awareness in Kiev and the West that they need to start working on a new, longer time frame. So I don't even know where to start with that, because the Times article is so disgraceful. But anyway, it's just as well that they're now working on a longer time frame, because, of course, the mainstream media has now decided to acknowledge something that alternative media, including ourselves, have been saying from the very beginning, and that is that there's no prospect of F-16s, of Ukrainian pilots flying F-16s in the near future on the battlefield. So this is a Washington Post from a few days ago, saying F-16 training for Ukrainian pilots faces delays and uncertainty, and Kiev wants US-made fighter jets as fast as possible, but the first pilots to undergo training probably won't be ready to fly them until next summer. So David, mainstream media is struggling with the current situation because clearly the picture is pretty bleak, but the Times demonstrates that no matter how bleak it gets, they can find the words to make it seem like Ukraine's still winning. But at least they're acknowledging, I suppose, that this is not going to end anytime soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a long war. Started in 2014. It's a very long war. And we're looking at something that's going to be similar in length to the Second World War, are we? Is that really the plan? Is that really in the best interest of the Ukrainian people, the Russian people, or anybody, apart from the military-industrial complex? I think not. This again shows the empty heart at the in the political sphere in the Ukraine and in the West, in that there is still not a word calling for peace.
Indeed. Okay,